Let me tell y'all what. I'm not gonna give y'all no cheesy intro music. I'm not gonna give y'all no dancing machine. Why? Because I want to talk my, you know, I really want to do that because this is what we call a slow news week. This is where a lot of times you want to go find an interview, you want to go get a guest, and you want to let them carry your show because there's not much to talk about. There's not much of significance to do. And if y'all didn't know this, I'm kind of into myself. I think I'm good at what I do. So instead of bringing in a guest because that's like the cool thing to do, you can have a great conversation. It's like, no, man, we're going to execute a class on how you conduct yourself on a podcast when there's a slow news week. And what you do is you find content that's stimulating and you talk about it and you go to your notes and you find these topics that you had sitting in the tuck and you pull them out. An important lesson I learned from my dad a long time ago was he's a pastor. And as a preacher, he was told you're always supposed to have 3 sermons. One in your pocket, one in your Bible, and one in your heart. Because you never know when you're going to have to rightly divide the words of truth. And not that I'm going to equate my podcast to a sermon, because I don't know if I'm rightly dividing. I know I'm using words, but I can't promise you all of them is truth. So I can't sit here and tell you that's what I'm doing. But I can tell you that I keep a pod on my phone, I keep a pod in my head, I keep a pod in these notes. You know what I mean? Like I can always pull a pod out of somewhere on a week when there's a slow news week. Whereas you look at the sports shows, they're talking, what are they talking? Was LeBron and Russell Westbrook not talking to each other a big deal? Could Ja really cook Michael Jordan a game of one-on-one? How dare the Cleveland Browns call Baker immature and they're bringing in Deshaun Watson? Like, boy, y'all struggling. And even like with the political news networks, they're beating abortion into the ground. Fox News is beating anything negative about Joe Biden to the ground. You go, okay, yeah, slow news week all over. But what we're going to do here at Big Baby's podcast is we're not going to allow a slow news week to give us a slow podcast because we're better than that. We're better than the topics that have to be talked about, the mainstream conversations that we are being told are what we need to hear. No, we're going to have a conversation that's still going to elevate us, whether it's me talking, whether it's you, the listener. We're going to have an important conversation here that we're all going to be able to draw something out of if we take the time to listen. Now, you got to listen. I mean, them 2 ears you got and that one mouth, you got to listen. But we going to do that because ain't no slow week going to hold us now. Oh, no. Oh, no. But I could be wrong. I could just be talking out of my butt, because what do I know? I'm just a big baby, and I'm back. And I'm back, 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 and let's do this. Let's pick a conversation. I got these topics here. They're right here. And I don't even know where I want to start, but let's go with this one. I saw this post today, actually, and I threw it on my story, and I saw a few people who followed me. They reposted it on their story. No shout out. That's fine, but it lets me know that it's a conversation worth having. Let's normalize having difficult conversations. Let's normalize having difficult conversations. I can go so many different directions with this because I think so often people want to say, let's normalize having difficult conversations with our partner. Let's normalize having difficult conversation with our parents, And I go, nah, bro. let's normalize having conversations that you don't want to have with whoever it is you don't want to have it with. Because we are often confronted with difficult conversations. Think about work. You know what I mean? You work with some people and you got that one coworker that you cool as a fan. They may not even be a coworker. Like they may be a subordinate, you know what I mean? Like they may work for you and they cool, you like them. But when it comes to certain things, oh boy. You're like, oh man, let me tell you what. You're not good. And it's easy to just let them not be good, cover for them, and, and never confront them and say, hey man, look here. The products that you're giving me are not up to standard. I need you to improve the work that you're doing in order to maintain your standing here at this place of business. That sounded so easy saying that to a microphone and a screen that is me, but it's not that easy saying it to somebody who who you have an invested relationship with. And I mean, that person's lack of productivity can uh contribute to your lack of productivity, but you're sitting here worried about a relationship. And by you, I mean me too. Like I'm here. Or you could be sitting in a relationship and things aren't going well, things are going actually poorly. You're not happy, your partner's not happy. And instead, y'all like do a date night. Oh, let's go on vacation. Oh, let's think about the good times. But you don't actually talk about why you're not having good times or why you feel like you should go on vacation, why you should try to create this escape, right? Or you got a friend who's making lifestyle decisions that you're not comfortable with, you don't agree with. And not that you're trying to control their lives, you just see them making decisions that are not beneficial to them becoming better people, achieving their goals that they tell you, and you won't confront them and say, "Hey, bro, what you doing? My guy, you tripping. That's not upstanding behavior, bro. That's kind of creepy, bro. What you come on, dog? I thought we was better than that. You did what? Yeah. Let's normalize having those conversations. Let's talk about, I don't know, you in the grocery store, somebody cut you off, or they bump you with their cart, and you want to say something to them, and you go, I don't know if I say something about that. Or you're in a relationship and you're being approached by someone who you have absolutely no interest in, and they shoot their shot, and you go, no. And they shoot their shot again, and you go, no, I'm good. And they continue to shoot their shot, and you just don't say, hey, look here, man. I'm involved with someone. I appreciate you for, acknowledging that I'm a eligible person. I'm not eligible. I'm ineligible. But you're attracted to me. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm honored, but I'm not interested. I got an old lady at home. I got a man at home. I got a wife at home. I got a husband at home. Leave me the hell alone. Bada boom, bada bing. You know, let's make those conversations difficult. Hold on. Let me talk about another hard conversation. Hey, dog, you in the friend zone. You like her. You love her. You want some more of her. Hey, yo, what are we doing here? We talk like we friends. We act like we friends. We say we friends, but we're really moving like we're in a relationship, but we're not doing all of those things that are required in a relationship. Let's cross that boundary. No, I'm not interested. I bet. Cool. I'll catch you And by mean catch you, I'm not going to talk to you ever again. I mean, if you hit me up, I'll respond, but I'm not going to reach out to you. Let's normalize that conversation. Let's normalize, yo. You know what I mean? Like, let's stop being so comfortable in our comfort zones that we cannot step out of our comfort zones to achieve the goals that we have for ourselves, right? Let's get answers. We need a resolution. We need a resolution, right? And that what Aaliyah said. Let's normalize those conversations, because I promise you, the more and more you have those hard conversations, the more and more you will get resolutions, and you'll stop playing around in purgatory, and you'll either end up in heaven or hell. You'll figure out your fate. You'll figure out your destiny. But when you steer away from those tough conversations, those difficult conversations, you leave stuff up for chance. You leave stuff up in the air. But I think we don't have these difficult conversations. It's because we are afraid of the consequences of the conversation, right? We're afraid of finality. We're afraid of a conclusion. You know, it's easy to write a paper, but it's hard to write a damn conclusion, let me tell you. You know, the opening paragraph is hard, and introducing yourself to someone is hard. Once you introduce yourself and that works, you get a good introduction. Oh man, the body flows. It flows. You know what I mean? It flows like Nicki Minaj on the table. It flows like Cardi B on the surgery table. You know what I mean? When you're done, it's gonna look good. But then that conclusion, whew, what the hook gonna be? I hear rappers say it's easy to rap. It's easy to rap bars, but it's hard to make a song. Cause what the hook gonna be? And that's the same thing with these difficult conversations. What the hook gonna be? What's the conclusion? What are we gonna get from this conversation? What are we gonna get from this relationship? What are we gonna get from this interaction that is actually lasting and standing? And a lot of times we don't know. And a lot of times we don't want to know. But I'm gonna tell you, you gotta want to know. Because if you know, you know. And when you know, you get finality. And when you have these difficult conversations, you find out where that person truly stands in your life and where you stand in theirs. And if you can recover from that difficult conversation, then you find out that hey, that's your rider. That's the person you need. If you don't recover from that difficult conversation, then you realize, hey, whatever this dynamic was, whatever this friendship was, whatever this relationship was, it wasn't meant to be. And that's okay. Moving on. Give me 1 second. Gotta hook up my Ethernet because my Wi-Fi is tripping. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Ooh, let me get my hat right. Let me get my hat right. Ooh, what do we want to talk about next? Let's go with this one. People create qualifications on their preferences to validate themselves. You know how sometimes you hear people talking about something that they're doing and they want to tell you like how great it is that they're doing it, and you can't understand it, you can't relate because you have not done what they've done, you've not experienced what they've experienced, you're not who they are, you know? Yeah, that's insecurity. And don't get me wrong, I've been guilty of it. You've been guilty of it. And this comes from the Drake album where people were talking about some, yeah, you know, if you've never been overseas, you know, you never been out the country, you won't really understand this music. If you've never been in an international city chasing international women, you won't understand this music. If you ain't did this, did that, oh no, you won't understand this music. Maybe. Just like people will say, hey, this is a distinguished dish. This is a classy food. Oh, this is great. And I go, okay. I've had some 5-star cuisine before, and I honestly wasn't too impressed with it. And it's not because I've not, had 3, 4, 5-star food before. It's that, hey, bro, I just didn't like this. It didn't do it for me. Like, yeah. I see what all you did there. Yeah, no, didn't do it for me. Oh my gosh, you got to try this Cabernet Sauvignon. And I go, okay, I'll try it. And I'll take a sip. And I go, don't do it for me. That's the crazy thing, right? There can be high class things that just don't do it for you, and that's okay. Like I look at some of these shoes that y'all wear, these Gucci's, these Balenciagas, and I go, that's Balenciaga bullshit. That Gucci is looking real Uchi Wally Walla. Uchi Bang Bang, like, shoot that shit, man. And it's okay to feel that way, but what we do as a society is if we want, like, we will take something that we like or take something that makes sense based on our experiences, and then we will try to put all these different qualifications on it to validate it for ourselves so that we look like we're a better person. I mean, just think about this. Think about how often you'll have Black people talking about their situation and how we can be better as Black people. And then somebody goes, well, where you come from, bro? What hood you came from? You ain't come through this. You ain't been in jail. You wasn't doing. So what? I had to go through what you went through to be who I'm supposed to be, to try to help other people like us get to where they want to be, huh? Say what now? Excuse me? Am I confused? And when I get back to my whole Black culture is not crime culture. Crime culture is not Black culture. I promise you it exists in other cultures. Ask the Italians, the 5 families, the Genevieves, the Colombos, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Them, they commit crimes. They don't like snitches. They ain't Black. But is that the only thing that encompasses Italian culture? Hell no. They don't be like, oh, you're not Cosa Nostra, so you ain't not Italian. Only in our culture we do that, right? And it's sick. But when you are a people who's not at home, you're a people who are building a life in a stranger's land. A stranger's land that you are welcome to under certain circumstances, and now that those circumstances have changed, you're welcome in some places, not welcome in others. You're always trying to prove yourself. So in this quest for proving yourself and showing how you belong and showing your relevance, you end up doing shit that just doesn't make sense, honestly. You create these qualifications to, again, validate yourself. You say, what, broke boys don't deserve pussy. I know that's right. Excuse me, what, Cardi B? You ever have sex with a man who didn't have any money at any point in your life? Was that sexual experience better than the sexual experience of somebody who you've had sex with who has money because they have money? I'm talking about the experience in the bed. I'm not talking about what led up to it and what happened after it. Because, if you got gifts and other stuff and, money, not calling you a hooker. I'm just saying, if that's what happened before and after, then cool. But was the actual experience itself that, the idea that, oh, you broke so you can't have sex? Huh? Oh, you broke. You ain't gonna understand this. Huh? You're uncultured, so you can't relate to music like this. So does that make you better or does that make you different? I've experienced a few cultural things, some things that people consider culture. I've done some things outside of my culture, but that doesn't change my appreciation for the things that I like. I like what I like. I like to say I'm one of the more experienced beer drinkers walking the face of this earth. I like to say that I've tried different flavors of beer. I've tried, different, alcohol percentages, different hop levels, IPA, triple IPA, double IPA, pale ale, ales, you name the style of beer, I've tried it. And there's not many beers that I just be like, ew, I can't drink this filth. But at the same time, I can appreciate a nice hopsecutioner. And in the same mouth on the same day, I can appreciate a Michelob Ultra. Different strokes for different folks, different times for different time. You know what I'm saying? Different times for different times. You know what I mean? Like different things that you want to do for different days of the week. Like, who wants to wear the same drawers every day? Not me. That's nasty. The point that I'm making is just because I can like a Louis Vuitton jacket doesn't mean that I can't like a starter jacket. And for you people who try to make yourself seem so exclusive, make yourself seem so much better than everybody else by saying you can't get what I got because you don't have what I have, or you won't understand what I'm doing because you're not living here with me. I'm telling you is, hey, bro, it don't matter. Do what makes you happy and do it because it makes you happy. Listen to what you listen to because it appeals to your ear. But your ear isn't better than someone else's ear just because they don't have the same appreciation for the things that you hear that you do. Your style isn't necessarily better than someone else's just because they don't like the stuff that you like. Your eyes aren't better than someone else's eyes just because they don't see things the way that you see things, man. Sometimes people take things differently. Sometimes we perceive things differently, and there's nothing wrong with being different. I think there's something right with being different. I think we should be more different. We should strive to be more different because, see, in this globalized society that we live in, it's stripping us of our individuality. Yes, globalization is stripping us of our individuality. And in some instances, I think it's great. In others, I go, I need more diversity of thought here. Think about it. Think about the way you've changed from the different places that you've lived. When you leave your parents' home and you get to make your own house rules, you change a little bit. When you leave your parents' home and then you have a roommate, you change a little bit because now you're not doing what works for you or works for your parents. You're doing what works for you and your roommate, and you're trying to find that balance. Now, then what happens when you're living with your partner? Some of those things that you would do that would cause hostility with your roommate, you won't do with your partner because you go, "Ooh, no, I gotta lay next to you." Now, what happens if you move to a different city with more opportunities to go out and do other things? Better food, better restaurants. You live closer to those restaurants, right? Or you move to a different state where they're just different values, different weather. Whereas you go from a cold area to a warm area. I promise you, you're going to do things a little bit differently. But what happens if you move across the country or you move to a different country? What happens when your partner becomes your husband, your wife, and then you have kids? The house changes. And the person that you once were when you were a free person to operate by yourself, you change. Because you make decisions that are more beneficial to the collective. right? So what's happened in our world, we've become a much more connected world, which means we're losing our identities. We're losing our cultural identities because we are, for one, being influenced by those who are outside of our circle, which that's great, that's fine. But not only are we being influenced by them, we are being judged by them. And at times, our ability to do what we want to do is dictated by their views of us. So, therefore, we have to make decisions to enable us to, to cooperate, and we lose parts of ourselves. Now, I don't think this is a bad thing. I think that, you know, a more homogenous culture, a more homogenous world works better together. I do. And I think the closer we get to that, the more we'll have a peaceful society, a world that can operate much more similarly. You know, there is no national language in the United States, but in order to be successful here you have to speak English. So if you come from another country, you're gonna be hard pressed to find the success that you want here if you don't learn English. So guess what? You had to give some of yourself away for the sake of English. Same, same in other countries. Same for other cultural traditions. And what scares me though is that as we all become more and more connected, that we lose different thoughts. We lose different traditions. Traditions exist for a reason, and some of those traditions probably should stick around, even if they stick around in small segments. They may not be the traditions that take over the entire country, the entire world, but maybe they belong in a state. One thing I like about the way the founding fathers set up this country is the United States was built under a set of common values, but the states were allowed to be their own individual entities. And I'm an only child. So I support individualism. I'm not the best team player. I want to win, but I'm not always the best team player because I like individuality. I don't look here, man. I ain't trying to just blend in. I'm trying to make sure I stick out. And maybe that goes back to me creating a qualification to validate myself, but I don't want to just, color in the lines. That's not me. So as I see our society, become more and more similar, the thing that scares me about it is that with our similarities and our differences, we're becoming, it's going to sound crazy. The more and more alike we become, the more and more different we become. Okay. So what we have is more and more people who are similar in their views and their values, and those people come together. And then you have other people who become totally different on on the other end of the spectrum. And now you have like these two large bodies who are totally different from one another. And they actually don't meet anywhere. Now, you have more supporters, more people who agree with you on more things, but you also have more people who disagree with you on other things. And we're losing our individuality. The more we come together, the more that we bend to one another and we look out for one another, and we forget what it is that made us special. And by us special, I'm speaking to different cultures. Just think about this, right? If someone says, I do not support gay marriage, they are immediately a homophobe, And by many people, their voice is now quieted because they don't deserve to be heard. Or if somebody says, hey, I am pro-life, some would say you should not have anything, you should not speak on that because I am anti-abortion. Excuse me, I am pro-life. Excuse me, I'm pro-choice. And I think abortion should be a choice, and you should not have the opportunity to even put that into the atmosphere. And it goes, hold on. So we make all these compromises. We compromise our culture, we compromise ourselves in order to survive, but what do we get from it? Are these compromises that we are making that are allowing us to operate in this mainstream culture actually beneficial? I don't know. But I'll tell you that the world that your mother lived in, the world that your grandmother lived in, the world that your great grandmother lived in is going to be drastically different than the world that your children live in, your great grandchildren live in, your great great grandchildren live in. Okay. So as we go through this world, understand how we can lose ourselves in it, whether it's survival or whether it's just adaptation, adapting to the things that are new, adapting to the things that may be better than what we came from. But I would challenge you to make sure that you don't sell your traditions short. There's a reason why MAGA worked, because there was a group of people who felt like they were being alienated from what was happening in the mainstream, and they had a vision for what they wanted the world to look like or the country to look like. And somebody ate that up and they took it and they ran with it and it worked. So as we become a closer knit society and we become more and more alike, don't forget your individuality, your special culture is what makes you great, what makes you important. There's a lot that we can do here in this world. There's so much that we can do. We can choose where we live. To some degree, we can choose where we work. We can choose a partner. We can choose our sexual orientation. We can choose our gender. But one thing you can't do is you can't choose your family. And I saw in a post where one of Elon Musk's daughters, who is his transgender daughter, wants nothing to do with her dad. And she wants to, disassociate herself from him. If I can find the quote exactly, I'll read it to you. Let's see. Here we go. It's going to take me a little second because this is kind of a long post. It's an article. But let's see. Dead air. We all love dead air. Here we go. Simultaneously, Musk's family has also been a topic of recent news cycles. At the end of June, Musk's transgender daughter, who he shares with Wilson, filed a request to change her name to align her with her new gender identity, citing her reasons as I no longer live with or wish to be related to my biological father in any way, shape, or form. Her request was granted. Los Angeles County Superior Court judge legally changed her name to Vivian Jenna Wilson. All right, look here. And I want to take this away from Miss Wilson because I could give a rat's ass about Miss Wilson and what she chose to do with her life. But when there's no boundaries, there's no structure. When there's no structure, anything flies. And when anything flies, you have chaos. And maybe I come on here and just scream about, hey, we're headed to chaos. And I'm just somebody who's like a Tucker Carlson trying to scare everybody off of what I think is wrong. Maybe that's what it is. But I don't think so. When somebody can say, I no longer wanted to be related to you anymore, so I'm going to change my name, so I'm not related to you anymore, that is fucking crazy. That is crazy. An unpopular opinion, it's wrong. You pick your friends, you don't pick your family. You cannot like family members. You can disagree with the way that they live their lives. You can disagree with their decisions. You cannot want to kick it with them. You cannot want to go to family functions. That's fine, but that is still your family. Y'all are still related. Y'all still have the similar genetics that make you similar to them. That is the thing. This is outrageous. And I don't want to speak to this individual specifically. I want to speak to the community at whole. Anybody who wants to no longer be related to their relatives, you're wrong. Y'all are related. That's your family. And here's the thing. I'll tell y'all something. There are members of my family who I don't align with. There are members of my family who I'm not as close with as I probably should be, would like to be, want to be, could be, and ain't. That's what my friends are for. That's what my friends are for. See, when you pick your friends, you don't pick your family. So if you want to have a family, if you want to have relationships with people, you go make friends. Because I'm going to tell you, you still are Elon Musk's daughter. And to some people, you're Elon Musk's son. But that ain't me. Conversation for another day. But you still are Elon Musk's daughter. You came from his ball sack. His cum made you. That will never change. And if we can't draw a hard line in the sand at the society to tell people that, hey, you can't make up your relatives. Like, some things are actual facts. Some things are backed by science. And we have to, I mean, what the hell are we studying science for if we're not applying it? If I can just make up anything, then hell, what's stopping me from saying, hey, I'm Kim Kardashian's husband? I identify as Kim Kardashian's husband. She doesn't have to recognize that I identify as it. You know what I mean? Like, I no longer identify as Elon Musk's child. I am not his son. I am a girl, and I don't belong to him. I did not come from his ball sack. That's what you're telling me. Because changing the name don't change your biology. Changing the name don't change your genetics. Changing your name don't change nothing but how you feel on the inside about something that you probably need to go work out in therapy. Maybe group therapy. Maybe therapy with your father that you don't claim. Hey, man, I got daddy issues. There's some things my dad's done that I've let go. There's some things that my dad's done that I haven't let go. But guess what? He's still my daddy. I still love him. I still claim him. Hell, I can't look at myself and not think about him. I can't make certain decisions, make certain jokes, make certain facial expressions, not think about him. Why? Because I'm his son. Yeah. He is me and I am him. Why? Because I came from him. And no matter how it makes me feel on my best days, no matter how it makes me feel on my worst days, I'm always of him. I'm from him. I'm him. Hell, I got his name. And I'd never, ever, ever give it away. And I'm not saying that to diminish what this young lady has gone through with her relationship with her dad. I'm not. But there's nothing that you can do to make him any more or less your dad. He's your dad. And maybe he wasn't the best dad. Maybe you don't agree with what he's doing in life. Sorry. I'm sorry. Work it out. Because you can never get a new dad. And because you can't get what you want and you don't want to work through your problems, you can't create brand new figures in your life. And I think that's where we're going as a society. We no longer we allow people to recreate the life that they want to live instead of living the life that they're stuck with. And the way that you recreate a life that you want is you deal with the issues that you have. You deal with those issues, whether it's alone, whether it's with friends, whether it's through therapy, whether it's through compartmentalization, whether it's through projecting. You do what you do to create the lifestyle that you want for yourself by living in the life that you have. You can't make a new one. Because even as much as you'd like to make a new one, those things in that other life, the life that you were born into, they don't go away. They don't go away until you deal with them. We like to feel like that our problems only exist when we claim them, but they don't. They don't. They just don't go away. And the sooner you recognize that, the sooner you know that, the better off you'll be. We have 40 minutes. What I want to talk about, man? I got one, man. My goal is different than yours. It's really put me in a tizzy. I was on Facebook, and for some odd reason, these fake coach pages be popping up in my algorithm, and it pisses me off, right? So here we go. Too many kids have been taught that the goal of high school sports is to achieve an athletic scholarship. Here's the truth. The goal of high school sports is to learn how to be a better person, better teammate, better communicator, and to enjoy being a teenager, something you can't get back. For you. And there is nothing wrong with that being your goal. But guess what? For some people, the goal of high school athletics is to get a college scholarship. And for some people, the goal of college athletics is to get to be a professional athlete. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Who the hell are you to tell somebody that they should not try to use high school athletics as a stepping stone to advance their lives? Let me tell you something about college. Going to college in the classroom is great. But going to classroom on campus is even better. Why? Because you get to create a network of people. People from different places, people from different walks of life, people with different thought patterns, people with different networks, people with different net worths. And I promise you, it will change how you live, what you want, your goals. And maybe you're somebody who wasn't the smartest kid in the classroom, and your only way to getting a better education, to setting yourself up for long-term success is athletics. What the hell is wrong with that? This idea that sports is only supposed to be about the team is bullshit, because the team is always going to do what's best for the team, and the athlete should have the same ability to do that too. And the athlete should not be judged, should not be chastised, should not be excommunicated because they want to make the decisions that are best for them and not best for the team. Now, you hope that you have athletes on your team that are making decisions that work for the team and work for themselves, right? You want both of them to work. But at the end of the day, if you're that high school kid with a 2.7 GPA, can't really get a scholarship academically, and you have superior athleticism, but you're not being maximized by your coach or your coaching staff, you should have the opportunity to go elsewhere to ensure that you are being maximized, because your life doesn't stop at high school. Your life keeps going. See, that coach that's coaching you, he or she has already gone through high school, gone through college, came back, settled into a career that they're happy with, I hope, and they're trying to elevate children, young men, young women into being great young adults. I'd hope so, right? But if you're not getting that from them, then you deserve to go elsewhere. And you shouldn't have to go, well, I mean, coach's son, And I saw this Lou Holtz quote where Lou Holtz was asked, what is the difference in football players today and 50 years ago? He answered, simple. Today's athletes talk about rights and privileges, and the players 50 years ago talk about obligations and responsibilities. Well, look here, man, my obligation And my responsibility is to myself, because the system has proved over and over again it doesn't give a damn about the cogs in the machine. It just cares about the machine running. And unlike a machine, people have thoughts, people have feelings, people have emotions, but they also have intelligence and intellect. And when you see that you are the major cog in this machine that keeps it moving, but you're being treated like every other cog in that machine, you go, hold on, man. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Why do I have to protect your job, protect your security when you're doing absolutely nothing to protect mine? Why do I have to stay here at this program, sit on the bench for 3 years, only get a year, maybe a second year because I took a fifth year in order to prove my worth when I'm better than the person in front of me? But you say, oh, well, we don't start freshmen here. Excuse me? Well, let me go what they do. Because as a freshman, I'm better than your senior. Why should I have to wait in line? And don't get me wrong. Have players become more entitled? Have people become more entitled? Yeah, absolutely. But it's because we've lived in a society where the decision makers, the owners, the coaches, the play callers, the shot callers, the managers, the CEOs, they don't value the people who allow them to maximize their themselves. They value their system. They value what they do. And they continue to say, hey, man, this is how you do it. And you know what? If you buy in, we're going to take care of you. But guess what? When you fuck people over and over again, they say, fuck you. Sorry, Dad. I wish there was a nicer way for me to say this, but it ain't. When you do people dirty, eventually they're going to figure it out and they're going to move on. And they're going to either get back at you or find a way to maximize themselves. And for the people who can't accept that, for the people who want to keep saying, hey, man, it's all about the team. It's all about the team. Is the team going to pay my bills? Is the team going to pay off my student loans? Is the team going to ensure that I have a job when I'm no longer on that team? Is that coach going to write me a letter of recommendation? Is he going to bring me back on his staff? Is she going to bring me back on her staff? Is she going to sign me up for speaking appearances at the organization, at the institution, so I can make a little bit of money? No. Then what am I supposed to do? At some point, I have to care about me. My goal is different than your goal. If your goal was Friday Night Lights and the glory of the Friday Night Light, then that meant any and everything to you, man, have at it. But if you want to play on Saturday afternoons in front of 65,000, then you make sure you make the decisions that help you get there. If selling out for the team isn't the most important thing for you because the team isn't selling out for you, think about it. People are mad at KD because he requested a trade with 4 years left on his contract. But how many people have been mad at an organization who moved a player with multiple years left on a contract and that player was in because that player was not meeting what the team needed from them? It's just crazy brainwashing thing we've done where we've tried to make the organization, we've tried to make the entity, we tried to make the presiding body bigger than the people. Nothing's bigger than the people. The people together deserve institutions and organizations that protect them, look out for them. That's why we have a government, because we realize as individuals we can't do it alone. We can't do it for ourselves. But we also understand that if the organizations, the institutions that we have to lead us and direct us and guide us are not doing that, we have to find ones that do. And just because my goal is different than yours doesn't mean that I'm wrong. And I'm using the sports analogy to talk about what's happening in our country today. You can't be upset with people who are trying to change their situation because they feel like they're not being taken care of, they're not being protected, they're not in the best situation for themselves. Because every time you want to get mad at KD, you want to get mad at Kyrie, you want to get mad at LeBron, you want to get mad at any person, Elon Musk, name that person, Donald Trump. I don't care. Anytime you want to get upset with somebody who is trying to put themselves in a more ideal situation, look at why they're asking. That'll probably give you your answer.